Project Peak Performance people. Hope everyone is doing well and enjoying whatever day or whatever time you are listening to this episode. It's a nice one because we've got all four of the pack ready to go, unpack some value. And the question really that we wanted to ask you, the listener or the person watching, that we're also going to ask ourselves is, are you uncoachable? Do you need a coach? Do you not need a coach? Can you be coached? And some of the signs that maybe you want to be thinking about going into 2025 that are going to help you take yourself to that next level of ultimately what we're all talking about, which is peak performance. So I'm going to go to James first on this one because he's got the most intense stare down the lens at the moment. He means business. I can tell he's focused. He's in the zone. He's ready. So James, uncoachable, like not necessarily just yourself, but and you don't need to name and shame, but is there anyone you can think of or a particular personality where you're like, that's an uncoachable human? Or is it you?
You know, the reason it was so intense, I was listening to your intro, I was like, this is going to be good, you know. And then I'm like, oh, back in the room, I'm part of it. So someone that's uncoachable, he said it before we went online. It's almost like you teed this up for me. So
Dave,
yeah,
go.
he's uncoachable. No, joking aside, so is there anyone that I can think of? Do you know, there's been a lot of people in my 20 years in business that I've been in the room with that kind of, let's for argument's sake, say mastermind events or coaching arenas, that type of thing. And you kind of think to yourself, why are you here? Like you dismiss or you fight absolutely everything. You have one train of thought. Why would you put yourself in this environment if you're not going to be open to the idea that actually you can do something completely differently? So I think in terms of personally, I'm very coachable. I'm very open to the idea of continually improving and being better and what have you in all areas of life. But I can think of a whole host of people I've been around where they're like so shut off to the idea of being coached.
Do you think for you, James, that you are coach? I think there's like two ways of almost being coachable, and Rob will probably be the best person to talk about this in a sec. But there's someone that like feels coachable in the moment, like they're absorbing everything, and then there's someone that actually goes and like actions and uses the coaching and actually delivers on it. I don't know whether that's something that people need to think about because I see over the last couple of years, people just constantly at conferences and training and like
Mm.
constantly doing. And you think, well, there's got to be a point where you've learned enough. Don't you need to start doing some shit now? You know, there's that, isn't there? But then there's the coachable of like, right, actually, I'm taking this on and I'm going to action with it. So yeah, that's a question that I wonder about you because you're like me, you're quite into some of the personal development and education and sort of home tuning on the right locations. Have you experienced or seen that, or have you found yourself in that sort of zone at any point?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I think that, and I know what you mean. You know, you're connected with people on social media and what have you, and there's like week after week after week, they're at some sort of training or conference or coaching environment. You're like, that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. And so I think the answer to that is, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that fall into that trap. A lot of people that I think it's the dopamine hit of being in environments where they're getting new information. It's then the implementation of that new information. And I think that's where I'd probably pass the baton on this to Rob because he does the daily coaching. It'd be good to understand from his perspective. Do you find that with a lot of clients?
Fuck yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. Like that is. So Ian, you hit it on nail on the head there. A lot of people go to training. So training is like, I'm going to take this information on and then I'm going to just follow the guidance of what I've been taught. Whereas coaching, you have to see coaching as not a one-off thing. Coaching should be an action with a coach going forward. So you don't just have one-off sessions with a coach and that's it. No different than if you go to the gym, you don't see a coach in the gym for once and he goes, right, lift some weights, and you go, right, that's great. I'm done for the day. You have to commit to the plan of what they're looking to do. And what you said at the beginning, I see it regularly, not so much with our clients because of how we have a particular type of person that we deal with in the agency. But previously, before, we would have people join us, maybe when we were just a marketing system or we were in our infant stage at Iceberg, and I would instantly know that they aren't coachable. It's like, what are you doing here? Why are you even bothering with this? Because you're creating friction every time there needs to be change. And everyone used to always say to me, like, well, I just want to do it the same way as I've done it before. It's like, well, what's the fucking point of doing this then? Like, because if you don't want to change, nothing's going to change. So I see it and it all comes within the two walls between here and nothing else.
Rob, what do you think is the difference between people that need training, a coach, and a mentor? What's the different type of personality to look for that need one of those three different spectrums?
I think training is process. So like a process that's been like, I don't know, how to use a system, how to go down, how to use a machine in a gym. That sort of side to it. Says training is a routine of information. Coaching is non-directive. It should always be non-directive, which should be like you are
Guide.
the expert of the individual. You are the expert. As a coach, you're there to try and pull out the person's expertise and give them guidance and give them love and support and accountability and drive towards that. So you are that partner with them, and a mentor is um, a, um, a almost a I don't know how to say it, a giving of knowledge, of expertise from a leadership position, a senior role where someone's been in something for a long period of time, or done a role that someone's then trying to fulfill. So whether that is growing and expanding your business, a mentor would be right. I've done it for X, Y, and Z, or I've done it myself. I'm going to part my knowledge with you. Or it could be no different than Ian. You talked about like how you got rid of some of your social media you want to get within your company. You got rid of some of your knowledge and how you want it to implement it into the next person to enable you to do something else in as a leadership role. So there's a lot of confusion because people say I'm a coach and it's like you're not a coach, you're a trainer. And also there's a confusion between mentor and coach. And it can flurry between a lot of them. So sometimes I will have a training on a particular thing in the system. I coach someone around what they want to unlock within their business. And I use some of my mentoring from, I've worked with a similar company, or I know I've done that possible, and I know I can work with them on that capacity. But it all starts with the individual in the center of all of it wanting to accept any of that information or any support. And if they don't, then just stay as you are, stay in that fixed mindset, but don't moan if nothing's changing out there.
Just jump in on that. That's quite often the person that moans is the one that's reluctant to change.
Well, I'll give you a great example. The same person who usually moans that the market's really, really busy and you can't control it and it's struggling is the same person that moans when the market's slow. So it's always the blame of the market. And I always say if you're blaming everything else out there, you're blaming a process or a person or an individual, your company, your team. It's no one them to blame. It's you've got to blame yourself because you're not taking back your power and controlling the situation.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good point. I guess, Dave, then thinking about it to try and sort of get people to visualize it, if you're going in, if you want to learn a new area, say, for example, we all want to learn how to be Pilates instructors, then we don't need a coach. We need the training and then potentially a mentor as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're all going to start our own property investing business and the four of us are coming together, then we probably don't need the training. We probably don't need the mentor, but we potentially need a coach as a group to kind of just keep us on the right path and keep us accountable to what our values and goals were from the beginning, something like that. Is that your thinking on it, Dave?
It is, yeah. I think the biggest underlying thing here is to decide, well, the initial question, are you uncoachable or coachable? I think that comes from a place of, if you are coachable, that means that you've understood and highlighted an area in your path towards your goal that you need some help on, and you're not hitting the targets that you've set yourself, which highlights that you would need some help in a particular area. Once you've highlighted what that issue is, then you can determine whether it's a training, a coaching, or a mentoring position for that particular role. The downside is, and I've recently spoke about this, is I believe what most people's issues are is they don't actually know where they're going. And when I say that, let's take a state agency, for argument's sake, which we work in, day out. I think that the large majority of estate agents out there, and I'll use my standard 80-20 rule, I bet you 80% of agents out there don't have a plan of where they want to be in the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. Because there's no plan of where they're going, there's no structured plan of how to get there. So what they find themselves doing is, like Rob said 2 seconds ago, they moan about the market conditions. My business isn't coming because of the market conditions, when in reality, it's other things that you should be looking at. And the reason you don't know to go there is because you don't have a goal. So you're just not looking at it in the first place. So we tend to see lots of team members, even directors, go into these training events because they believe that if they go to this training event, it may make a dramatic difference to the outcome of where their business is going. But without the direction of where they're going, it doesn't. What happens is they go to these training courses, they fill out an A4 sheet of paper, they have a little coffee and a drink and a good chat with other people who are just like them, so they feel fucking amazing in these little shitstorms of training camps. They put the pens away, they put the books away, and they go back and do absolutely nothing about it because they don't know where to implement that knowledge to make it work as part of the plan. So I think, to answer all of the questions, I think you are definitely coachable if you realize you're accountable and you realize that there is an issue that needs resolving. If you don't, you're not coachable. I think that is how I could put it in, and just like that's what I see as the issue, the lead magnet, the cause and effect of the whole scenario with regards to coaching. And how we get the right one, again, depends on the problem, which we can talk about. What's right for a mentor, what's right for a coach, what's right for a trainer, again, like Rob said. Go on, James.
So I've got a question for you then, for the group, open forum on this one. If we were in a situation right now where someone approached the pack and said, I've heard what you've got to say. You guys seemingly have a plan in all variations within business, within life, within fitness, within family, within relationships. You seemingly all have this plan that you're working towards. Where do I start? Help me. Because I think the 80%, it's a lack of clarity, a lack of understanding, a lack of where to begin. So let's give them that foundation on this call, on this recording. Like, where do they start?
100%. What I would do is I would try to fit. I mean, I think, number one, let's go back to basics. What does a good life look like to you? Let's start with that, because business is secondary. Business is a tool to get you to the place that you really want to be. In most cases, it's not the destination business, it's the tool to get you there. So
I also think it's a really good start point. I had to interject there. Sorry, Dave. I think it's a really good. So many people make their business their absolute everything. So 99.9% of their time is focused and dedicated there, which will probably be a part of the cause of the lack of clarity, because they've got nothing else in their life as a release, as a happy and enjoyable moment, and they're not celebrating the little wins along the way either.
100%, yeah. So if you know where you want to be in life, get a picture of what that looks like. Let's just, for argument's sake, paint a picture of what I believe an average one would look like. And that is, business is there to give me the time and the money to spend with my family and do the things that I really like to do. For the most part, I would say. What the achievement goal is, let's say it's a nice partner, nice house, 4-bed detached house, 2 decent cars for the family, a couple of nice holidays a year, and you don't have to worry. If you're not working for at least 2 months, you don't have to worry about someone coming knocking at your door and taking it all off you. If we put that as a baseline of what the English dream it is type thing, now what we do is we put a cost against that. Now I can categorically tell you that that's going to cost for a couple in and around 80 to 100 grand. It's probably going to cost anywhere between 160 and 200,000 pounds a year income to achieve that life. Now you've got to think, okay, what business would do that? It might be the business that you've got. It might not be. If you're in a job that maxes out at 35, 40 grand a year, you've got to accept the fact that that job's never going to be the vehicle to get you to where you truly want to be. So you're going to end up fumbling along the way. But let's say you do decide, let's say in a state agency where we're at, you need to earn between 2 people, let's say 80 grand each, 160 grand, which has historically been the scientific number, which is anything more than that, it doesn't make a difference financially. So how much do you have to achieve to do that? And what we need to do is then break down how many sales do we need at our average fee, how many marketing things, and we can start to build this plan of how that particular goal looks. We know what the end goal is, we know where we're going to, and we know if we reach there, we're going to be really, really happy, which is going to give us the motivation and the fuel to get to the journey, to get to the end result. And then you start to work on those things. Once you've got the plan and you can start to see it, you'll soon realize that what you're doing currently in your business could do with some help. And in those help areas, you probably find that, shit, I don't actually know how to do marketing properly. Maybe you need someone to help you with the marketing, or a trainer, or a coach. Maybe it's dealing with team members. Maybe actually you've got a load of team members that you've had historically for ages. You've just looked at it and gone, actually, do you know what? Most of these people aren't the right people in the business. What do I do? You might need a coach for that. I'm not going to go on and on about this because, as you can see, from every avenue, there's areas of expertise that we could pull in on. But the point I'm trying to make is, guys, honestly, it's so, so important. If you don't know where you're going in life, life will take you and it will just take you down whatever route it decides is best. And you might like it, but you might not. It might be awful as well. So the first plan, to answer your question without banging on forever, because I have a tendency to do that, is know where you're going, but really know where you're going. What does 60-year-old you look like?
What's your next?
I just started working with a coach for next year. I've done a few masterminds and I've done a bit of training, and I was like, right, I've got a lot of balls in the air. I've got a lot of things that I want to do at a very, very elite level, in my kind of trilogy, if you like. And I'm going to work with a high performance coach next year, that aligns with them. So for me, it's quite hard to find that coach because they have to have a similar kind of, I have to have respect for them in what they've achieved. Otherwise, I can't be coached by someone that's coaching me, because it's the old thing, do as do and teach as teach. I have to be kind of coached by someone that I know's done certain things in the fitness world, in the business world, and etc. But one of the first things that he was talking about with me, but we've not started the coaching, but just on the kind of intro call, is he said, there's 3 ways of kind of looking at your life, and then you include your business and your fitness and stuff like that, is the way that he visualizes it. One is the satellite view, where you're kind of up in space looking down at the planet. This is like your 5 to 10 year goal, or what Dave said, what does it look like when you're 60, for example? This big satellite vision of, you can't see the route there, but you've got this big one-off goal of like, I want this to be my life. This is, if this is achieved, or this is how my life is unfolding, and I die in that moment, I'll be pretty comfortably happy with the fact that I've achieved that. And then you come down to helicopter view. Helicopter view is you kind of flying over the mountains. You've got a good visual aspect of about 2 or 3 year plan, and you start to see some routes and some trails within it, and you can see roughly how you can navigate there. But you've got a really nice view of your business, of your family life, and the description of what's going on. And then you've got your mountain view, and that's kind of like, what are you doing in the next kind of 3 to 12 months? You're on the mountain, you're climbing the mountain, you're kind of doing it. There could be a false summit, there could be another mountain, but you've got a real clear understanding of where to go to next and the path that you're walking on. And if you can get to the point where you understand those 3 different levels of what you're trying to achieve, then you've got a much easier way of kind of navigating yourself through, with the path in mind, with the goal in mind, rather than someone going, hey mate, nice mountain, come and check this one out down here, it's got a lake at the back, and you go, oh yeah, that sounds good, and you kind of get diverted by it. No, focus on what you're trying to do. I just thought that was really interesting. And he also did a personality test with me, which was the results was like 20 pages of this personality test. Never done it, it's not like a disc one or anything. It is the most bonkers personality test I've ever received. It's unbelievable. I read it to my missus because it kind of does a 2-page description of who I am as an individual, who I am as a team, how I should be spoken to, how I should speak to different people that's kind of sit in different types of... Honestly, it was mental. And it was really, really interesting for me kind of to go, oh, there's some things in there that I didn't realize, but they are true, but they weren't at the top of my mind. There's little things like it said, there was a sentence in it that Ian likes to take center stage in an environment where normally he potentially should actually be a participant. And I was like, maybe, maybe, yeah. There's little things like, because there's some constructive stuff in there as well. And I was like, okay, Ian makes decisions based on things that he believed to be super knowledgeable on, when actually he potentially is not as knowledgeable as he thinks. And if he took more time to and take analysis in and listen to other people, he may be able to make a decision which is more relevant to the decision he's actually trying to make. Little things like that, where I was like, because I'm quite impatient, I'm like, no, let's just do it now. We'll work it out if it was a problem later, because if it is, I'll fix it anyway. It's
Ready?
kind of very, very interesting. And that for me is kind of the coaching aspect of it. I didn't feel like the last couple of years I needed a coach. I needed to find what I was doing with business, with life. But now I feel right. I kind of got a really clear satellite view of what I want to achieve. I don't really have anyone that I feel truly accountable to on my level in life. So I was like, I'm going to bring someone in to kind of help, hopefully get me there. And that's kind of, yeah, that's quite relevant to this conversation, because it's something that I've just brought into play with. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you.
It's a great share. It's interesting as well, and you're talking about them personality things, and it's uncovering elements of your character where you're like, actually, if I really look closely at that, that's very much me. When you're saying about being in the limelight, so to speak, in certain environments and what have you, that is very you. But you've also got a lot of value to share, so it kind of balances out.
I think it might have said dominate rather than limelight. It might something along those lines. And it also said how not to communicate with me. So I read it to the missus, and she was wetting herself, but she was like, it says things like, Ian doesn't like to be interrupted mid-flow. Ian doesn't like to have a dominant opinion put on him if he's in disagreement. All these little things of like, and I was like, fucking hell.
You know what, mate? As you're saying this, I'm thinking, wow, mate, this sounds like I filled in this. And how me and you get through a podcast without either arguing or beating each other up is fucking beyond me, mate.
It's respect, isn't it? I think.
Ian, I'll give you. So in a performance workshop, similar to what you just said there, I'll give you something which people can listen to take away if they want to research into some of this stuff on a basic level. There's a few things you listen to. So you look at the dynamic relationship model. You fill out an RSQ, which is a relationship style questionnaire, and then you can then look into how you transact with other people based on that. And so if anyone's out there listening to that, some baseline level of it, do that. And like you said, some people, like I had silence in a workshop when people were doing it, because they were like, oh shit, actually, I'm on this spectrum. And I wonder why I don't talk to this person the way I should be, or why I get pissed off when they talk to me in a particular way. And I think that's really the good foundations of, like you said, we're starting with understanding whether you need a coach or not, really, isn't it?
Mm.
Great share, Ian, because like a lot of people, it's a good insight, because you've risen to where you are in a prominent position you are in a state agency and well respected. And there's some people were thinking, oh well, like, you know, he's got it all sorted out, and you're being open, quite saying, actually, no, I want to take it to another level, and actually I do need a coach now, and I've realized I might need a coach, and this is what I found out doing this. And whereas some people could be easily in your position and saying, I've got this, I've got a team around me, I've got a good network of partners, I've got it growing, I've got a dominance within the market, I'm respected by that. I don't need anyone. I know what I'm talking about. But ultimately, like Dave said at the beginning, that's where if you want to level up, that's where you need that person to be accountable towards it all.
I'm of the belief that everyone needs one of those three things in their life. They need either to be training in an area where they need help, so that they feel they've got growth, which will motivate them, make them feel more driven, wake up happy because they're learning new things. I think someone maybe needs that. Someone maybe needs a coach. I've explained my reasons why I feel next year is about a coach, because it's all about action for me next year, and achievement, and being aligned, and being confident in saying no to certain things and saying yes to certain things, and starting things that maybe I'm putting off, and little things like that. Someone potentially needs a mentor. I think a lot of people in younger life really need a mentor. I think, like, if there was a really strong mentor for people in their 20s, they would be a better person in their 30s. And maybe their 30s, then they've had this mentor, they know where they want to be, and then they need the training and development. And then you get to your 40s, it's like, right, this decade for me, like I turn 41 in a couple of days' time. I've identified that my 40s as a decade, that is going to dictate whether I'm on my deathbed happy with my life or not. This is the decade. All of the shit that's happened for the last 20 years is about this. This is the cup final. And I really want to have someone in my camp, in my corner, like a boxer in the corner has his coach. When I get beaten up and I come back after a round, I want to sit down and not be on my own, and have someone there that goes, yeah, just go out and do this. Couple of little pointers, couple of little thoughts, couple of little fractions. Get up out the seat and do the Rocky Balboa on him.
You reminded me actually of something you just said about there about the levels of or when you need maybe a mentor. You know, I shared that book with us about raising boys in the 21st century. They've actually written one around raising girls, and in there it basically talks that three stages of a development of a boy into this world. The early stages, it needs its mum, then it needs its dad, and actually when it says about 14, 15, 16, it actually needs a mentor beyond the fatherhood figure. So boys need an additional male figure in their life as a mentorship, even at that early age, to understand a different part of how life might work. And they might have preconceived ideas they've got from their dad, and that's when they start to challenge it and stuff like that. So even just from a baseline level of how to bring a healthy young boy who grows into a good, healthy young man, into a proper man in society, needs even mentorship in their teens, someone to actually guide that through. Anyone listening out there, how many people are out there probably in their teenage years have found that particular person, whether that was a teacher, a sports coach, or someone who helped guide you through that direction when you're a bit lost. It just shows how the importance of it. I want to share one thing because actually this week, I actually did something which is called the Gerald Ergen skilled helper model, which actually is quite prominent for this, which might help people direct it through. So there's three stages to this: exploration, understanding, and an action. So if you go through this thing, you're thinking about what do I do now from a very simplest terms. Exploration is literally brainstorming, and you ask yourself things like what's working for you right now, what's work, what's not, what's frustrating me, what's causing me friction. So you basically write all that down as an explorational piece, but it's not there to you're not there to resolve in that piece. You're just there to vent it all out of your head. Next bit is understanding. So you need to then create the detail, like Dave said. So like, what do I need to do different? How would it feel, and how would it benefit me? So not I want a nice big house. It's okay, if you want a larger house, why do you want a larger house? What does that house look like? How many bedrooms does it got? Where does it location? So that formulates that big plan. And at the end of it, then you've got the action part, which is everyone always breaks down in this part. And it's like break down what are the steps needed to actually achieve this. So you need the detailed bit in the middle as a more clarity piece because you can't do the action bit at the end because you can't do any simple metrics on it. It's easy for someone to say, I want to do £1 million a year in turnover in my business. It's like, okay, well, that's great, but what does that look like on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis? And then what does the metrics to follow afterwards?
It's
So
the investment. It's the investment, Rob. That's the way I look at it. Is sometimes, and it's investment of money and time. Is and with more time than anything, but with your time is, am I putting my time into learning something, which is mean I'm taking time away from something else, but it's going to have a result on the satellite view, the bigger picture. Same thing with business. I had a business strategy meeting with one of the company, two of the people from one of the companies, and she kind of said to me, she said, I feel like there's a lot of financial focus. And I said, you've got that wrong. Like next year we can make no money in this business whatsoever. This is all about investing for where the business will be in 3 years when we're making it a better bit. We're in the transition stage from it going from an entrepreneur's business to an actual company. And it's that investment, like you said, with your time, where you're putting it is so important. So yeah, coaching, mentorship, training, I think it's really important for people to think about. And time is valuable, isn't it? And where you invest your money in coaching or mentorship or training and listening to podcasts and personal education. Dave, I know you've got time always allocated in your diary to learn these things that you're interested in. And actually, since we had Robert on talking about the finances, I've actually put 2 hours on a Friday at 3 o'clock to invest in time on his course and understanding that aspect of it. And something that I want to get involved in. So how you use your time really, really helps. And I think if you've got a coach in your corner or someone that you can call a mentor or a coach or a support or that type of mechanism, or a group, a mastermind group, whatever it may be, then I think you'd be a better performing individual for having it. You talk, Dave, about your WhatsApp group with your brothers. You're quite fortunate that you've got, sort of quite a nucleus of successful family, but that's almost your mastermind in a way that you're all inspiring and motivating each other.
Massively.
Not everyone has that, but it's amazing that you've got it, and it's an emotional connection because it's family as well. So Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the differences, I mean, obviously Rob does his coaching, I do coaching, to give people an idea of what you're likely to get out of it when it comes to getting the right coach. Now, I coach a lot of manufacturing companies, some estate agents. Majority of them are manufacturing companies. Seems to be my bread and butter that I fell into. Don't know how, but I did. Anyway, the average cost is around £20,000 a year. The average result is over £100,000 a year, bottom line, that they get. So they've actually made 80k, but that's never ever what they shout and scream about. What they shout and scream about is the fact that they're able to have the time back. They're able to set these plans out with their teams and allow themselves to exit slowly but surely away from the businesses. So if you, because I'm not saying give me 20 grand and I'll give you 80 grand at the end of the year and you can walk away. It takes a lot of action from yourself to be able to do this. But what a good coach can do, if you find the one in the right area for you, is they've taken these steps all before. They've done it all. They're going to save you years and years of fumbling and messing around. And I would say, if the clients that I have, if they didn't employ somebody like me to do this within this year, they'd just continue going and it would cost them time and money and headaches forever and a day. So get the right coach. When you see the returns on this investment, I promise you, you will never see any return on any other investment hit the numbers of percentage increase that investing in yourself will do, because it's evergreen. It's not a one-trick pony. These skills you take over into new businesses, into everything else, because it's all pretty much the same stuff we talk about. The product and service is slightly different at the end, but the logistics of how businesses work are all pretty much the same. So, you know, you spend once and you can use it and use it and use it and use it. It's got to be the best investment you can make in yourself.
And that's why we wanted to do this episode, just to get people at the end of the year to think, right, what are the things that I wish I'd done that I hadn't? What are the things I want to do next year? Who's in my corner to help me with them? You know, life is not about being on your own. It's about being part of a team. That's our human psyche. We want to be a tribe, you know, so who's in your tribe? Who are your 5 closest people? Is one of them a coach, a mentor? You know, where do you need to get some more education? Where do you need to invest some more time in next year? And we've got some exciting stuff coming up that we're going to share over the next week or so as well. So keep your ears and your eyes tuned into that. And thank you to everyone that's listening. And if you've got anything that you want support on or help on, and you think we may be able to help align with some of those, then reach out to any of us, drop us a DM. We'd love to help. And we'll be back next week with another episode. Cheers, chaps.
You guys.
See you soon.